Hi, friends. Thanks for letting me be a little bit fashionably late. Um, I am flying solo pretty much today, so you'll just have to be patient with me as I go through my questions and or your questions and my responses. So, as usual, I'm going to start with a few that you guys have sent in last time, and I'll just I'll pretend that you're asking those live, and then I'll grab live questions as we go. I'm going to try to be talking for 10, 15 minutes. I have a cold, so please be patient with me. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one. Michael Spafford asks a wonderful question. How do you craft such great tragedy? The heartbreak and emotional roller coasters, be it Days Inn and Andros or Kip and the Rats, Con Arthur's Family. I really want to know because holy hell, does it add so much to your books, and it's part of what me and my wife love about reading them. I think that's a great question, and I try to come to these fresh without thinking about them tons, so you wouldn't get a canned answer. Um, I think the biggest thing about making things feel tragic is eschewing cynicism. There's sort of an impulse when we approach really big feelings to to kind of back off and say something sarcastic and undercut it with some some people call this like bathos. Make a little joke about it, so we can kind of step away and be a little bit cynical and be clever and witty and wise. And I think that's best used in really small doses. I think instead allowing yourself to care about your characters. There's an old saying that I can't remember. Maybe somebody can look this up for me since I can't Google while I'm talking live. It says, no tears in the writer, no tears in the reader. And I think that's really true. If I'm not deeply moved by a scene, then I know it's not there yet. If what I'm hoping for is to deeply move readers, so the first step is really making readers care about the characters, and that's making characters who want things and characters who you love. And for me, I think that is a lot of characters who are trying to do the right thing, even if they're failing quite often. Or characters who, when they do the wrong thing, you understand absolutely why they're doing the wrong thing, and you see what they're aiming for. So I think that gives us characters that we can hook onto, and then we can feel with them, and then I try to just I don't let us look away if that's what I'm hoping to experience. Second question was from David Bredner. Oh, this is one I got flagged. Maybe you don't want to answer this one, so I'm going to. David Bredner said, Brent, do you feel pressured as an author to write about certain characters? Forgive me if I'm mistaken, but I understand that a new Night Angel book would likely be far more successful than more, for lack of a better term, original ideas. How do finances factor into your creative process? I have heard things from other authors, and they'll go unnamed at the moment. Like I heard one guy say, I just got to write 4 more of these books in a certain series to pay off my divorce. And I was like, wow, that's, and then he was going to write something that was more fun for himself. It's like, that's really terrible. or it sounds really terrible because I like to think we're making art here. It's not just commerce, and for some people it is just commerce. And I don't think taking off my idealist hat that I started wearing when I was an adolescent, taking off the idealist hat, I can say it's not terrible if your art is commerce. If what you're doing is you're just telling a great story and you're telling interesting stories, you're giving people a way to pass a few hours. That's not terrible. But it feels like what we do, what we're afforded the privilege to do, is something where we can do more. And I have personally been incredibly fortunate in that I've done things in my writing that deliberately thought would make them sell worse. When I was writing Night Angel originally, I was like, oh my gosh, this kind of brutal world. I mean, there's brutal stuff happening with children. It was like, this series will never write well, or sorry, this series will never sell well because there's just too much brutal stuff in it. And so I thought, well, that's okay, but I really want to explore the nature of evil and how it is that people participate with evil. And, when kids are abused and then they turn around and they abuse other kids, like, are they culpable for that? Like, they're clearly doing harm to others. And I had a lot of questions about that because my wife was working with abused children at the time. So I wrote Night Angel, and I was doing stuff that I thought would definitely make it not sell well. When I got done with that, and Orbit offered me another deal, they sort of said, write whatever you want next. And I thought, well, it sounds like these Night Angel things are selling well, or Orbit would have offered me another book deal right away. And I was like, but I want to do something different. I want to do something more interesting for myself, and something that can stretch my skills in a new direction. So I did that, and knowing again, I just went somewhere that I thought was interesting for myself. So the next books that I'm writing, or books, I haven't quite decided yet, will be set in the Night Angel world. But that's not because I'm like chasing sales. I mean, selling lots of books is great. That's really fun. But my dream has never been to sell X number of books. It's been, can I make a living making art, telling stories? Like, that's I'm a creative. That's what I do. That's what makes me feel alive. So that's what I've been able to do. I'm writing that book next because that's interesting to me. So I don't look down at, or I don't sneer at people who are just trying to make a living, and idea X of theirs or series X of theirs is selling more copies, and this is how they pay the mortgage. I mean, that absolutely happens for people, and there's other stuff they would like to write, but one series is selling better, and that's what they do. I've been, like I said, super fortunate. Haven't had to do that. Okay, I'm going to jump into the live questions. You guys have to be, I've got to do some scrolling here, so hope you'll be patient with me. Okay. Oh, and it was Frost who said the no tears in the writer, no tears in the reader quote. Question: what's the strangest things you found yourself writing on? Well, it's I suppose I did literally write on bar napkins at certain points when I was younger. I don't know if I ever ended up using any of those ideas, but that's probably the strangest thing. I mean, I'll grab little scraps of paper, but now we all have little scraps of phone screen real estate. So, okay, should I? Oh, question. Lois Allison Young says, should I start with Night Angel or Lightbringer first? That is, how did you wander into this live stream? What are you doing here? Who are you? Just kidding. I think Night Angel is, I recommend it to people who want to jump right into the world, get going really quickly. I think the world is a little bit more familiar. It's definitely a darker world. There's, murderers and prostitutes are kind of the main characters. So it's a very rough world to dive straight into, but it gets going immediately. You're instantly into the action, and you are on a ride right away. Lightbringer, I think, is a little bit of a slower burn. I think it's more polished, more mature, and a lot more ambitious. So whichever one of those sounds like it tickles your fancy, it'd be probably the right entry point. Garrett Vaughn, what's a realistic expectation on a time frame for your next release? I don't know. I'm doing something a little different with this next book. I'm trying to get out of the hamster wheel of like I was writing a book every 2 years, and the books were getting longer and longer and more complicated, and it meant everything in my life suffered with the last probably 3 of the Lightbringer books, I'd say it was like I stopped doing everything. No social events, getting out of family social events. It got kind of unhealthy for me, as I was just trying to not be that guy who delayed his books. And with the last book, I did delay it, by a year, but it was a massive book and it was the finale. So I did that, and then I was like, okay, I gotta. As I've finished up, it's like I want to do some research. I want to do some professional development, is what I call it. I'm like reading. Did I bring it out here? No, I didn't. I'm like doing a lot of writing books. I'm doing other things like that, and I mean, I do generally write 120 to 150,000 words a year. I don't see not really writing at a fairly good clip, because I just like to do that, and it helps me feel productive. But I'm not committing myself to any particular release schedule. I'm trying to be a better dad and husband and human being, and let the writing come as quickly as it can, but without screwing everything else in my life. Will you ever do a novel, Nathan McGee says, about the other side of the Everdark Gates? Maybe. Not next. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Elliot. It just says nice things. I brought broken eye to an eye exam and I got some laughs from it. Paul Anderson says, nice. Whenever I go into my eye doctor, because reading all your life apparently does this to your eyes. I'm getting old. I would always ask my ophthalmologist, do you know any cool things that go wrong with eyeballs? And she told me about some different things, but unfortunately, I don't think I was ever able to use any of them. Okay, we're going to just do 2 more questions, and then we're going to call it good. For some magical reason, my publisher says, hey, try to go 15-ish minutes. So we're gonna do this. Okay. Amazing Writer would love to see A Night Angel Part 4. Oh, you would you? That's very interesting. Okay. No, I'm skipping that one as well. Here we go. Who's next? Shirley. Oh my God, I had to download the Facebook app to watch this. How are you today? Chris Evans says. Chris said, just go ahead and just delete it right after you're done with this, is all I can say. Your life will be happier. I'm doing great today. Will Mylar make an appearance? Mylar will not be in the next book, Cameron Watkins, so I can confirm that. No Mylar in the next book. Josh Renegel, thank you. Paul Anderson says, will there be a deal you do with Wizards of the Coast and allow drafters to be a playable class? If they sent me an email, I would answer that email. That would be fun. I don't think, that would be pretty awesome. Okay. Okay. Do I plan on marketing the Lightbringer series as an anime or cartoon? Kelsey Storr asks. I don't. There's something that a lot of writers do, and I absolutely understand it, of kind of reaching for the brass ring, which like we see the big money being in Hollywood and thinking like, oh man, if I can just go to Hollywood, I can get, the big money. And I can become somebody that everybody knows. I can become George R. R. Martin or something. And I've been kind of through the Hollywood thing a couple times. Once with an up and coming actor who, as far as I could tell, didn't actually do anything with the option that he bought from me. And then once with a lady who was wonderful and knew everybody, and she actually got some traction a couple places, but nothing came of it. And I realized that chasing the whole movie deal stuff, it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of emotional energy. And I'm not that interested in doing that. Like I just had been saying a blanket no to everybody while I was finishing Lightbringer, because I was like, this is taking everything I have, just absolutely everything I have. I'm not going to fly to Hollywood and meet people. I don't want to. I don't want to get excited about this. I don't care. And I kind of am just, I'm kind of just staying in that place right now of like, I love what I'm doing. I think books are wonderful. I think they do things a lot better than they do certain things better than other media can do them. And some of those things are the things I do best. Like conveying a character's thoughts while they're in a scene, while their mouth is saying something and they're thinking something completely different. A really great actor can do that to some extent, but not as well as a great novelist can. So I like what I'm doing. I like not getting distracted. I like not living always hoping for something more and better. So I like spending the extra time I have that isn't writing time in learning how to get my writing better, and beyond that, in being with my family and living hopefully a relatively healthy life. So I'm not really going down the Hollywood route anytime soon. I mean, I'm done with Lightbringer now, so maybe I have a little bit more margin. But right now, I'm feeling really happy doing what I'm doing. Visiting some characters. Again, I wrote a scene the other day in this next novel that I'm not telling you very much about yet, and a character came up that I hadn't written because there will be some crossover characters that you've known from Night Angel, so that limits the time frame at least to some extent. And this character comes in the scene, and I'm like, oh, am I gonna get the voice right? And the voice was right there. I knew this person so well, and it was really fun to write. So I love what I'm doing. I want to thank you guys for that. It's been a real pleasure, an excellent ride. I'm going to call that it for today. I said 10 minutes, and here we're at 17. So thank you so much. And if you have other questions, you can go ahead and throw them in here. My assistant will be checking on those. She'll save those up, and I will get started with those next time. And until next month, thank you and goodbye.